when I was growing up, we went to churches where it seemed like the best and most important thing that you could do was to be a pastor or a missionary or an evangelist. That was like top tier. If you were really serious about following God and living out your faith, you had to be one of those three things or some other kind of professional Christian service. It occurred to me later that that's really weird and awkward because, well, what's everyone else supposed to do? So is that saying that everyone who's not a pastor is less committed to following God? I don't think so. I don't think that makes sense. But it took me a while to sort of break out of that, and it wasn't until I realized that God calls only some people to be, that's true for some people, but for a lot of people, that's not true. And it wasn't until after I realized that I realized that actually, yes, I was called to be a pastor. It was kind of weird. It was like, well, okay, if everybody's supposed to be a pastor, then where are we going to get food? Who is going to run the electric? There are so many things. Like, there's stuff you didn't even know needed done. My father-in-law sells belts for, conveyor belts. This world would fall apart without that job, and I didn't even know it existed until I met him. It's strange. One of my first interactions with that idea that we are all called by God to do certain things, but not all called to be full-time professional Christians, came when Kristen and I went to Faith Presbyterian Church in Colorado Springs. There was a line that said, Pastor Tom Trinidad, and under that it said, Ministers, the people of the church. And I went, wait, what? It was just this really cool moment to go, wait a minute. We are all called to some form of ministry, and for some of us, our ministry is the job that we do in what they call the secular world. And that just turned everything inside out. Another time, you remember at the beginning of COVID, it seemed like everything was just shut down, and I just thought that it would be, I was so tempted to quit being a pastor or just ask to go on a pause so that I could help distribute vaccines full time, because I thought that is a more important job than what I'm doing. And I thought about it and I went, wait, no, I'm doing something that's important too. I am here bringing hope. So we're all called to do different things, and it's not that one is more important than the other or the other is more important than the one. That we're all called, and we're in this together. Which brings us to, that's where I put it. Which brings us to, we are installing ruling elders and deacons today, whose job is not more important than the jobs that the rest of everyone else is doing. I had a line from the Book of Order that I wanted to read about, and I can't find it, but basically it says that ruling elders and deacons are called to help. Oh, there it is. Ruling elders are chosen by the congregation to discern and measure the congregation's fidelity to the Word of God and to strengthen and nurture its faith and life. And the goal of folks who are called as ruling elders and deacons is to help strengthen the ministry of everyone else. Not to be like better than everyone else. We're actually the support staff for the church. So everyone who gets ordained or installed, the language from the Book of Order, which is the sermon title, is that we're calling to particular service as ruling elders and deacons. I wanted to read that for you. The ministry of deacon is one of compassion and witness and service, sharing in the redeeming love of Christ for the poor, the hungry, the sick, the lost, the friendless, the oppressed, those burdened by unjust policies or structures, or anyone in distress. Deacons are support staff for all of the ministry that we're all doing. They can be called to special tasks and et cetera, et cetera. If you're curious, read the Book of Order. And now I've said that. And the section about ruling elders, I've always loved. It says, ruling elders are so named not because they lord it over the congregation, but because they're chosen by the congregation to discern and measure its fidelity to the Word of God and strengthen and nurture its faith and life. And I can't name all of the deacons or what all of them are doing, all of the elders or the deacons and what all they're doing, but I'm thinking of all of the meals that we have in the kitchen. That gets coordinated by Jane, who's one of our elders. She's the kitchen elder. Or our worship gets helped and planned by the worship committee, which is led by the worship elder. Or the spiritual formation committee, which is why we have Kesslin and Bree here. All of these pieces come together so that, as support, so that we can go out and do the work of God in the world. And sometimes the work of God is standing in front of people and giving a message. Sometimes the work of God is making sure that the kitchen is running. Sometimes the work of God is working at the power company and making sure the lights come on all over the city. The work of God is everywhere and all around us. And I'm honored that this is the work of God that I'm called to, and I'm honored to be serving all of you so that to empower and encourage you to do the work of God in your individual lives.